All right, first of all, let's talk about the meeting yesterday. The big news of the day coming out was this idea of this feasibility study committee, I guess, that was Pat McCoy's idea and Commissioner McCoy, and it failed for a lack of second. Take us through the process here.
Well, it's interesting because until yesterday, I'm the only one on the court that ever had a motion die for a lack of second. So
that's true.
So I'm not alone in my club now. I've got a new member. But this thing is unfolding, and people are thinking this through. I have no doubt, Jeff, that we are going to get to the point where we have some or all of our regularly scheduled Commissioner Court sessions in the evening.
Mm-hmm. What seems to be the holdup here? Because I've had people ask me that, people who don't even live in Bowie County, ask me about what is the deal? Why don't they just move the meetings, at least one meeting a month, to the nighttime? It doesn't seem like that big of a deal.
Well, see, I agree with you, so I really don't have the answer of what the big deal is for the others. I don't understand that dynamic, especially where I recommended last month that we try it for the rest of this budget year, six times, just one of our monthly sessions. And if it doesn't work, if people don't show up, if we don't have to move into the central jury room to get the crowd in and all, then there's not much reason to continue to inconvenience to some extent some of our employees and all, if the public isn't going to show up more with an evening session.
Let's go to the budget amendments now. Explain what a budget amendment is, why they are needed, and what's happening with that particular item.
There are two kinds of budget amendments. One is where we are taking money out of one line item in the budget and putting it in another place. And we can do that each time we meet if necessary, where we thought, well, inflation can cause us to have to increase one budget item that got hit, like the rising fuel prices.
Sure.
The other kind of amendment is where you're actually expanding your budget.
Okay.
And so that takes an emergency by state law.
And what has been happening with the budget amendments over a period of time? Because I think people don't quite understand what a budget amendment really is and why it's even in place.
Well, again, it's necessary. We do the best we can to project the budget for the year. Now, what we did the budget year we're in now is we took a almost $35 million budget and reduced it down to $28 million. We cut all the fat we possibly could.
Sure.
So there wasn't nearly as much playroom in there if unexpected expenses came up in one area or the other. In fact, we may have cut just a little too deep, and we may have to have some meetings to deal with that. But the main thing is we got the budget size reduced by about 18%. But even with our best projections, we just can't anticipate where some unexpected expenses might come up. For instance, one of these capital murder trials could easily cost us $500,000 to $700,000 for the defense for the person who's been charged with a crime but might be sentenced to death.
And that expense goes back on the county, correct?
Yes, the county, for the most part. Sometimes there's grant money we can go out and get to help us with that. And so there are unexpected things that can come up. What has happened in the past is we've adjusted the budget, we've amended it after the fact, after we've approved the payable that ran a line item or a department over the budget. And as I've been studying, especially a book by Susan Combs, our state comptroller, as I've been studying that, I've become 100% convinced if we need to adjust the budget, we have to adjust it before we authorize the expenditure that would take a line item or the entire department over budget.
So in the past then, when folks were making these budget amendments, they would make the budget amendment after the fact?
Yes, after the money had been expended and the line item or the department had gone over budget.
So that person in that department or that commissioner or whomever it was, they didn't know they were going over budget, or they were going over budget and they just were not informed of it?
Well, it can be both ways.
Okay.
For instance, the example I used in court yesterday was we are mandated to, county is, to provide indigent mental health services for indigent people.
Sure.
And this happens at our expense if they're mentally ill and a serious threat to their own lives or others. And in some cases where there's not a state hospital bed available, we have to put them in a private hospital for $525 a day. What happens is if they don't have private insurance, if they don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, then we have to get what we call a contract bed.
Okay.
We approved an expenditure 2 weeks ago that looked rather large to me for those contract beds.
Mm-hmm.
I had my staff check it out, and in the first 6 months of the year, we've come within $1,700 of surpassing our $70,000 budget for that, and we have 6 more months to go.
Now, is it up to every department to determine if they're about to go over a budget, or does that fall upon someone else within county government?
Now, this would be the responsibility of the auditor to provide reports to, I think, to both the department heads on a regular basis of where they stand, and also to the commissioners in all the departments, all the line items, how are we doing.
Okay, excellent. Bowie County Judge Sterling Lacy, thank you, sir, so much. How can folks get a hold of you?
Well, they can call me at my office, 903-628-6718.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.